Welcome to real history, where the truth is bloodier than fiction. The fall begins at midnight. You don't hear the bells, you hear your name hissing like a curse through the corridors of the convention. Robespierre. No longer a savior, not even a man. Just a symbol now of fear, of silence, of the guillotine. Paris is still choking on the heat of July, and the air smells like scorched bread, sweat, and treason. You're not in your bed. You haven't slept in days. Instead, you're trapped in your own thoughts, locked behind eyes that have seen too much blood to blink anymore. Every law you've passed, every throat you've silenced, every friend you've buried, they all line up now, ghost-like at the foot of your mind. Waiting. Down the road, people whisper. Deputies shuffle papers they no longer read. Your name is inked in the margins. Your silence used to terrify them. Now it only confirms what they already suspect: you've gone too far. And worse, you've gone alone. That morning, you'd Hadil bin Robespierre, the incorruptible. That afternoon they muttered about dictatorship. That night they want your head. The revolutionary tide has turned again. And the terrifying truth: you're not on the beach. You're in the surf, choking. Outside, torches gather. Inside, your allies grow pale. Saint-Just stares at you like he's already delivering your eulogy. Cothon can barely sit up. You try to stand, to speak, to remind them who built this revolution, but your voice is gone. Not from fear, no. From exhaustion, from guilt. Before we peel back the skin of history, like and subscribe, but only if you dare. Let us know where you're watching from and what time it is in your city. Now take a breath, dim the lights, and let's descend into tonight's true story. You try to speak. You want to rage, to roar, to remind them you are the revolution. But your jaw is gone. Shattered, blown open just hours ago by your own pistol in a moment of panic and shame. The blood has stopped gushing, but your tongue sits limp, thick with regret, unable to form even a whisper. The irony isn't lost on anyone. You silenced a nation. Now you can't utter a word. You're lying in the same hall where so many others once pleaded for their lives. You made sure their voices were ignored. Now it's your turn. Deputies gather not in reverence but in triumph. The incorruptible lies like a broken puppet on a table, half his face, missing the other half, twisted in agony. You once spoke of virtue. Now your face is the mask of failure. The guards don't look at you, not out of respect but disgust. Some smirk, some whisper, "Coward." Even the ones who once cheered for you can't stomach the sight. Blood crusts at your collar. Your bandage is filthy. The flies already treat you like meat. You are not dead yet, but you're close enough to stink. Historians still argue whether you meant to kill yourself or whether the pistol misfired. Some say it was Saint-Just who handed you the gun. Others claim it was an accident that you never intended to escape. Justice only delay it. But justice in Paris is punctual, and today it arrives before noon. You once commanded silence with your speeches. Now you can't even moan. You lie among the rubble of your own legend, gagging on pain, as the people you once ruled with fear finally get to speak, and they are laughing. He's still beside you, Saint-Just, the angel of death. Younger than you, straighter posture. Not a crack on him. His calm is worse than your pain, because he believes still. Even now chained and doomed, he believes in the revolution, as if it were a holy war. You taught him that faith, and now it walks beside you quiet like a ghost attending its own funeral. You try to catch his eye, to search for defiance, for sorrow, for anything. But Saint-Just looks ahead, past you, past the crowd, as if he's already rehearsing his final words. Or maybe he knows the guillotine doesn't care who built it. It only cares that you climb. Behind you, Couthon is wheeled in like a discarded doll, body limp from paralysis, eyes wide with betrayal. Your faction, the architects of terror, reduced to wounded, speechless men bound for the same death they orchestrated. They used to call you the triumvirate. Now you look like a lineup of failed ghosts. Outside, Paris stirs. The city that once howled your name from balconies now snickers behind wine glasses. Children point. Vendors sell pastries on the same streets stained by your victims. The revolution has always fed on irony, and today it gorges. The guards walk slower now, not out of respect, but delay. They know the crowd is growing. They know the show is coming, and you. You limp beside Saint-Just, the silence between you louder than any speech you've ever given. It feels like a parade, but every step is a funeral drumbeat. Historians still debate whether Saint-Just lost faith in you at the end, whether he saw your desperation, your cowardice, and recoiled. But if he judged you, he never said. He walked with you calmly, straight into death. No halo, no fire, just cold conviction. You bleed on the cold stone floor of the Hôtel de Ville. Not the seat of revolution, not anymore. Now it's just another stage for collapse. This was supposed to be your last stand. Instead, it's a waiting room for death. You're surrounded by men who once screamed oaths of loyalty, now whispering prayers for mercy. Couthon writhes on a stretcher nearby, sweat pooling beneath him. Lebas is already dead, shot himself, rather than face the tribunal. Saint-Just still sits upright, unflinching. But the room smells of rot of blood, of failure. It's not a war room, it's a tomb. You press your back to the wall, pistol at your side, useless now. The bullet that should have ended your life only shattered your jaw. That was your last chance to control the story, and you botched it. Now you wait in limbo, half dead, listening to the clatter of boots below. They're coming. They always do. The doors burst open just past 2 a.m. They don't shout. They don't fire. They walk in with a kind of grim choreography. The National Guardsmen come to clean the last stain of Robespierre from the revolution. No resistance, no martyrdom, just confusion, moans, and the smell of blood. They find you slumped face, ruined lips, trembling. You don't beg. You don't need to. Your body already tells the story. The tyrant is broken. The spell is over. The puppet show has ended, and the strings are in tatters. Historians argue whether the Hôtel de Ville siege was ever meant to succeed. Some say you intended to rally Paris for one final purge. Others insist it was a delusion, the last gasp of a man drunk on his own myth. Either way, no one rallied, no one came, and now they drag you from your final refuge like trash. You recognize the courtroom. You built it. The chairs, the benches, even the order of proceedings, all of it shaped by your own hands. But this time you're not standing behind the bench. You're strapped to a chair, drooling through blood and bandage, unable to speak. They don't need to ask questions. The trial is a formality, the kind you use to fast-track enemies through. A whisper, a signature, a nod. Now it's your turn. They read charges like a list of broken promises, tyranny, bloodshed, betrayal. Your name echoes off the same stone walls that once rang with your speeches. Your jaw pulses. You want to scream, not to protest, but to laugh, because you know how this ends. You've known since the moment the convention turned. There's no defense, no delay. You are the system you created, and it no longer recognizes you. Across the aisle the public stares. Some gape, some grin. Most are silent. They've seen enough executions to grow numb. But your face, swollen shattered, is something new. They aren't watching justice. They're watching irony perform a magic trick. The guillotine doesn't just kill, it eats its maker. Historians still debate whether your trial was even legal. Some say the tribunal violated procedure. Others insist it didn't matter, you wrote the rules. You were the exception to them all, and now you're the proof that no exception lasts. The judge doesn't flinch. The prosecutors don't gloat. They don't need to. Your legacy is already unraveling. They speak your name not with venom, but boredom, as if removing you is routine, as if history is done with you. The sentence, death by guillotine. Of course, you hear it and your broken mouth twitches. You once called it the blade of equality. Now it's just steel and silence, and you're next. They don't give you a bed. They give you a plank. No pillow, no blanket, just wood slicked with old blood and damp rot. You lie there like cargo, strapped in place, your jaw, a swollen wreck of cloth and agony. You can't speak. You can't sleep. You can only exist, mouth agape, skin feverish, waiting. The cell is small, airless. The candlelight flickers like it's mocking your shallow breath. Somewhere down the hall a man screams. Another laughs. You can't tell which one's mad. Maybe both. Maybe you too. Your teeth, the few still intact, ache with every heartbeat. It's not pain, it's punishment. There are no visitors, no allies, only guards who spit near your feet and whisper insults they hope you can't hear. But you do. Every syllable. You always did. They say your face looks like a ruined melon, that your eyes remind them of pigs before slaughter. They're not wrong. You've seen pigs die. They don't beg either. They feed you broth. Or try. You can't drink it. The liquid dribbles down your chin, soaking the bandage, mixing with blood and pus. You cough. You choke. You wish it would kill you, but it won't. The revolution wants you alive just long enough to show the people what it does to traitors. Historians wonder if you were conscious the whole time. Some claim you drifted in and out delirious. Others believe you heard every word, felt every splinter of humiliation. But only you know the truth, and you'll take that silence to the blade. Midnight comes. No stars, no wind. Just you, strapped to wood, dreaming of speeches you can no longer give. The night doesn't end. It simply rots. And by morning your mouth is filled with blood again, and something harder. They come for you at dawn, not with ceremony, with routine, like butchers showing up for work. You're lifted, not carried. The guards don't bother to be gentle. They've seen too many condemned men to treat this one like history. Paris is awake, not reverent, curious. The markets are opening. The wine cellars are out. Mothers shield their children's eyes, then peek through their fingers. The cart rattles down Rue Saint-Honoré, and the wheels creak like they know who's riding. You don't see the faces, but you feel the stares. You're propped upright for all to see, a half-dead puppet, mouth agape, chin black with dried blood. The bandage is filthy. Your coat is stiff with sweat. Flies orbit your nose undisturbed. The people don't cheer. They gawk. Some smirk. A few spit. Most just watch. There's no triumph in their eyes, no grief. Just the dull gaze of a nation too tired to hate. You were once their high priest of terror. Now you're street theater, and the price of admission is silence. You pass the same buildings where you once gave speeches. The windows are shut. No banners hang. The revolution doesn't wave goodbye. It forgets you in real time. Historians still note how quiet it was. Some claim it was respect. Others say the crowd was stunned by your appearance, the shattered jaw, the trembling limbs. But maybe it wasn't awe. Maybe it was fatigue. Too many heads. Too many names. You were just one more. As the cart clatters toward the scaffold, a woman whispers to her son, "That's Robespierre." He doesn't respond. He's never heard the name. You look out over the crowd, try to raise your chin, but your neck won't move. The blood has dried stiff. The streets smell of iron again. Not from the forges, from the blood. Yours is next. Your titles are gone. Not revoked, forgotten. No one calls you incorruptible now. No one calls you anything but citizen. The word was once revolutionary. Now it's a death sentence dressed as equality. You remember the pamphlets that sang your name, the festivals held in your honor. You remember the crowd roaring for your voice in the convention. You were the revolution's voice until it decided it preferred silence. And now you are Citizen Robespierre. Nothing more, nothing less, and soon nothing at all. The guards don't meet your eyes anymore. It's not fear, it's contempt. They know what you did or what they've been told. That you betrayed liberty. That you murdered the Republic with laws and lies. That your silence now is guilt made flesh. You try to swallow, but it hurts. The pain is constant now, a slow wet grinding in your jaw with every movement. You're trying to stay upright in the cart, but your spine curls in on itself. The crowd is closing in, closer than before. They want to see your eyes when you die. The cart jerks to a halt. The scaffold looms. The blade shines. The shadow it casts is longer than you expected, taller too. You wonder if this is how Danton felt, or Hébert, or the hundreds you sent to die, all with a signature, a phrase, a nod. You never saw them like this. You never saw their mouths frozen open. Historians still argue over your guilt. Some claim you were betrayed by the very movement you tried to protect. Others insist you became the thing you swore to destroy. But no one debates what happened next. You arrived at the scaffold not as a man, but as a warning. A priest asks if you repent. You can't answer. Your bandage is soaked through. Your mouth twitches once. Citizen Robespierre doesn't speak anymore. The wheels shudder beneath you. Every cobblestone jars your bones, but you barely feel them now. The cart is full. Your final companions, Saint-Just, Couthon, Henriot, a handful of others. Men who shaped a nation now jostling like cattle in a wooden box bound for slaughter. Saint-Just hasn't spoken. He doesn't look at you. Couthon weeps quietly. He smells of urine and resignation. Henriot eyes, wild face, ruined mutters to himself, still drunk on delusions of rebellion. You are the center, not by choice, but by gravity, the broken man around whom the others revolve. Your jaw pulses with every bump, every rattle. The pain no longer sharp, just there, constant a part of you, like your heartbeat. The cloth is stiff, with blood clinging to your lips like a gag. The people lean in, lining the streets, hoping to catch a glimpse of your agony. This is no trial. This is theater. The audience has paid with starvation, grief, fear. Today, they collect their show. You gave them terror. Now they get catharsis. No one cheers, no one chants. They just watch wide-eyed as you ride past the ghost of the revolution, paraded before its own corpse. You once said that the guillotine was swift, clean, humane. You wrote its justification into law. You called it the sword of the Republic. Now as you draw closer, it looks like an altar, tall, impassive, final. Historians note how long the procession took. not because the route was far, but because they dragged it out. Slowly, deliberately, a reverse coronation. Once you ascended to rule with applause. Today you ascend the scaffold in silence. The cart stops. The crowd parts like water. The executioner doesn't speak. He doesn't need to. He just gestures, and you understand. It's time. You try to stand, but your legs forget how. So they pull you roughly. The cart groans one last time, like it too is glad to be rid of you. You're dragged up the steps like a broken effigy. Your legs no longer belong to you. Your face, that infamous face, is soaked in blood and filth. The crowd leans forward. Thousands of them, packed into the square, straining for one last look at the monster, the martyr, the myth. They place you beneath the blade, not with reverence but with boredom. The executioner adjusts your bandages, not out of mercy, to ensure your face is visible, so Paris can see what revolution does to its makers. You're still conscious. That's the cruel part. You hear them murmur. You feel the breeze. You taste the rust on your teeth. The scaffold smells of sweat and sawdust and something else, something metallic. You recognize it. The scent of fresh blood. They stretch your neck to fit the groove. You twitch. You groan. It's not fear. It's instinct. But the crowd sees it, and for the first time today, they cheer. Loud, brief, final. The executioner raises his hand. But the blade doesn't fall. Not yet. There's a pause. A delay. A breathless second where everything waits. A hesitation so small it could be mechanical or intentional. No one knows. Historians have argued for centuries, did the executioner pause to savor it? Did the blade jam? Or did the city itself refuse for one heartbeat to let you go? You don't know either. But you feel it. That final insult, that delay before oblivion. The moment your machine seems to look down at you and judge. Then it falls, clean, fast, no scream, no words, just silence, and a thud. Your head is held aloft, face slack, mouth still ruined. The crowd doesn't roar. They exhale, a burden lifted, the last breath of a nation gasping for air. The guillotine never stutters again. There is no grave with your name. No monument, no plaque. Your body is dumped into a pit at the Tyrants cemetery, like refuse swept from the revolution's doorstep. Quicklime is poured over your remains, not to preserve, but to erase. The same hands that once clasped yours in adoration now shovel dirt without looking. There is no prayer, no crowd, just wet earth and a quiet wish that you disappear faster than memory allows. Paris does not mourn. It moves on. Within hours, the convention breathes easier. Speeches return. Smiles flicker. Robespierre is spoken of in the past tense, then not at all. By the week's end, even your allies are gone. Some executed, some vanished, most pretending they never knew you. The terror, they say, has ended. But the blood keeps flowing only now without your name at the helm. It wasn't you who made France cruel. You were just its mirror polished to a blade's edge. And when they saw their reflection, they smashed it. Children are told that you were mad. Pamphlets print your image with devil's horns. The incorruptible becomes the unforgivable. The guillotine remains, but your shadow does not. Historians still search for the truth. Was it power that destroyed you? Was it idealism or simply inevitability, the revolution consuming its own because it never knew how to stop? You do not get a last word. You do not get history's sympathy. You get silence and lime, and the weight of everything you built collapsed back into the dirt. The revolution lives on, but it no longer says your name.